Alright, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to decode an invisible superpower. It's something the world's most captivating people use, a force that works in total silence but speaks volumes. And it connects people you'd never expect. Actors, ancient hunters, even master illusionists. So, what is it? You know that feeling, right? When you're in the presence of someone who just commands the room, but they haven't even said a word. You just can't look away. What is that magnetic, that unshakable quality some people just seem to have? Well, here's the secret. It's not about adding more. It's not about bigger gestures or a louder voice. It's actually about a radical subtraction. It's about taking away almost everything we think of as communication and revealing something way, way more powerful underneath.
So let's unpack this hidden force. We're going to call it high-definition presence. And I promise you, understanding this is a total game changer. Think about it. Most of our communication is, well, it's pretty noisy. It's full of fidgeting, filler words like and just constant nervous motion. It's kind of like a blurry, low-res video. But the masters of presence, they operate on a completely different frequency. It's a high-definition signal, and it's broadcast from a baseline of pure stillness.
Now, what's really interesting is how this actually works. This powerful form of communication is built on a simple two-part principle that feels a lot like being on a roller coaster.
First, you have what we'll call the climb. This is where a person creates a baseline of deep physical quiet. They become so still that it creates this incredible tension in the room, and it forces everyone watching to lean in, to crank up their own sensitivity, just trying to figure out what's going on. Their brain is just desperately searching for a signal in all that quiet. And then comes the drop. It's a tiny, almost invisible micromotion, a slight narrowing of the eyes, a millimeter shift in their weight. But because the baseline was so quiet, that tiny little shift delivers a huge psychological impact. It's like a jolt to the nervous system that lands with incredible force. You know, this isn't some new idea. Ancient philosophers like Chuang Tzu understood this power perfectly. They knew that real control, real presence, doesn't come from a lot of frantic action. It comes from a deeply held stillness that actually allows you to command the world around you.
Okay, but here's where it gets really fascinating. This isn't just some philosophical art form. It is grounded in hard science. So let's take a look at the biology behind this silent broadcast. Back in the 1960s, a psychologist named Paul Ekman stumbled onto something huge. He discovered what he called micro-expressions, these tiny, involuntary flashes of true emotion that can last for as little as 1/25th of a second before our conscious brain can even react and suppress them.
And the way he discovered this is an incredible story. He was studying footage of a psychiatric patient named Mary. Now, she was smiling. She was asking for a weekend pass from the hospital, insisting she felt better. But when Ekman slowed the film way, way down, he saw it. A flash of pure, intense anguish across her face. It was a leak of her true, hidden suicidal intent, quickly covered up by a social smile.
So our ability to control this nonverbal leakage is directly wired into our biology. Specifically, it's tied to something called heart rate variability, or HRV. It's basically a measure of how well your nervous system can balance stress and calm. The higher your HRV, the more control you have over your internal state, and therefore, what you broadcast to the outside world. But here's the brilliant part. You can actually train your body's stillness engine. It all comes down to something called the vagus nerve. It's like the superhighway of calm in your body, and you can strengthen it with dead simple exercises. Things like slow, boxed breathing, splashing cold water on your face, or even just humming. These actions directly tone the very nerve that governs your ability to be still.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the science. Now let's look at how the masters actually use this principle of the climb and drop in the real world across totally different fields.
And once you know what to look for, you see this pattern everywhere. Take an actor like Mads Mikkelsen. His climb is that predatory stillness he has, and then the drop is that tiny tightening of his jaw that just screams lethal intent. Or think of a historical duelist holding a perfectly quiet guard. Their life literally depended on reading the drop, that millimeter shift in their opponent's weight. It's even there with our ancestors, hunters who used absolute stillness to blend in, communicating with nothing more than a microscopic tilt of the chin.
But maybe the most mind-bending example comes from psychological illusionists like Darren Brown. In one of his bits, he establishes the climb by perfectly mirroring a total stranger's posture, their breathing, everything. He gets in sync with them.
And then comes the drop, a tiny, subtle yawn. And because the stranger is now subconsciously linked to him, they yawn too. He leads their behavior without them having any clue what's happening.
Okay, so here is the most important takeaway from all of this. This isn't some mystical power that's just for actors or ancient hunters. This is a fundamental skill of communication that you, yes, you, can actually cultivate.
So how do you even start? Well, you can begin with a few simple drills. Try the statue of salt drill. Just sit for 10 minutes. But your goal isn't just to be still, it's to eliminate the very urge to move. Or next time you're in a high-stakes conversation, try the 3-second pause before you answer. Hold that stillness just a little longer than feels comfortable. Feel how the pressure changes in the room. Drills like these start to lower your own noise floor, so you can begin broadcasting a much clearer signal. And why does any of this even matter? Because research suggests that up to 70% of all human communication happens non-verbally. The words we're using, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real conversation, the high-definition broadcast, is happening beneath the surface in this world of stillness and micromotion.
See, by mastering the art of stillness, you're not just talking anymore, you're truly broadcasting. You gain access to this deeper, more powerful layer of communication. Which leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question for you to think about. What incredible things could you communicate if you first chose to say nothing at all?